I do not want a God-fearing man at all. Like, that is not on the top of my list when I am looking for qualities in a partner. Now, hold on. I do not want a man who is only morally correct because he fears eternal damnation.
I've been saying that. I don't want a God-fearing Christian man. I don't. I have no desire. I don't want nobody's pastor, deacon, any of that. I have no desire for those type of men. And the reason being is because if the Bible and Jesus are your only guardrails to being a decent human being, then how would you truly be if the threat of eternal damnation was not there staring you down in the face? Honestly. I don't need it in the Bible or Jesus to tell me to be a decent human being every day. I want to be a decent human being. I want to be a good mother. I want to be a good friend. I want to be a good citizen. Okay? It doesn't feel right internally for me physically to not do the right thing. You know, I never have had the desire to, indulge in drugs. I've never had the desire to drown all of my sorrows at the bottom of a bottle. I've never really had the desire to engage in a whole bunch of risky sexual activity. It's not in me. Okay. And so when people say that kind of stuff and they're like, well, you got to get you a Christian God-fearing man. No, I don't. I had one of those. My last boyfriend was a Christian God-fearing man that read the Bible every day, went to church every Sunday, tithed every week. Yeah, he was one of them. He was the worst human being ever. He was mentally and emotionally abusive. He was conniving and manipulative. He was a trickster and a liar. Okay? That was that God-fearing man. Okay? And not only was he like that with me, he was like that with a whole lot of other women as well.
Well, my guess is your ex being Christian had nothing to do with why he had a terrible character.
You can't let your past bad choices with men be the reason you turn away from God-fearing men. Just because a man says he fears God and does all the right things doesn't mean he really does. And as a woman of God, your discernment usually will show you who's real and who's faking, but you got to be close to God to hear God's whisper. Now, I know that trickster wasn't the only man you chose. He was just part of the pattern of men who weren't meant for you. And if you struggle to tell the difference between a real man and a fake one, that's a lesson, not a reason to block all men of faith. Using that as an excuse is just you avoiding accountability for your choices. You got to step up, girl. Don't let fear of repeating the past stop you from trusting the right man. People choose to have faith or become Christian not out of fear of damnation, but because they're drawn to love, grace, and the promise of a transformed life. It's about embracing a relationship with God and understanding that God offers hope, peace, and redemption, things far greater than any fear. And for them, following Christ isn't about avoiding punishment. It's about accepting his teachings, his sacrifice, and the new life he gives. Faith is a choice made from a place of trust and love and decision to walk in your purpose, joy, and the knowledge that they're deeply loved and forgiven. When people don't have the guidance that you got, that you was blessed with naturally by your parents or the people around you, they turn to God for that. And that still, to the end of the day, needs to be celebrated, because there's plenty of people who just chose to overlook anything that has to do with God and just stay on demon time. Now, I heard you say you wanted to be a good mother, a good citizen, a good all these other things, but not one time did you say you wanted to be a good wife. And that's probably why you attracting a certain type of man if you still single.
Like, he probably was looking to God to try to improve who he was as a person. And, I try not to judge anybody's journey, whether they're a Christian or not. It can be difficult sometimes, especially when I'm trying to give my opinion about it. But for the most part, when women talk about they don't want men who are God-fearing, it's just like, well, what would you prefer? These men on demon time? Because these men are really out here struggling. The truth is, as a woman, you can't be out in these streets trying to find a man who's just like you. Regardless of how good of a person you are, it could be extremely difficult to find a man who is a good person like that, who naturally isn't sleeping around, abusing drugs and alcohol, getting caught up in a lot of things that men easily get caught up in. See, women, we seem to be a little bit more reserved. Some of us, at least. I mean, there's women out there who are hypersexual, and I even had like a hypersexual phase where I was just like in the polyamorous lifestyle, trying to explore my sexuality and shit like that. So, if you're naturally like this good person and you don't need God to be there to help you, go, head in the right direction and you don't need that type of guidance, I'm happy for you, because that means someone was there in your life who gave you that type of guidance. But it's a lot of people out here who did not have that, and that's what God is for. God is for those people that need that type of guidance, that need that type of fellowship and that type of family. It's a lot of people out here that don't have family. It's a lot of people out here that may have grew up in an environment that wasn't pleasant. And I'm sorry to say this, but a lot of men are struggling with their mental health. A lot of them are struggling with expressing their feelings and, walking the right path. So God is a way to help them walk the right path.
Excuse me, sir. You look very confident. What makes you confident?
Say God, man. In all actuality, I'm nothing without God. God is what makes me confident, man.
Wow. Were you
Yes.
always a believer in God?
Always.
Yeah?
Always.
Did you have a moment in your life where you saw, okay, this is God doing?
My wife and my beautiful baby boy. Not my doing. I give all glory to God.
Wow.
What makes this man extremely attractive isn't even his physical appearance. I mean, just the confidence. It's beaming off of him. Like, you can feel it in the video. He's so confident in himself. And having a God-fearing man is so important, because I can tell you straight up, most of the issues I've had inside of my relationships, they have been that way because I've been dealing with men who do not have a respect for a higher power. And because I did not require that the men in my life have a relationship with God when I myself have one, it was one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made. And that's hard to express to people who do not believe in a higher power, or people who do not have faith. And this isn't about Christianity versus Muslim versus Buddhist versus anything. It's just respecting the fact that there is something greater than who you are as a person, and respecting that power, or whatever you call it. Whether you worship, whether you pray, whether you meditate, there has to be something there where you feel a connection to a source of power. And if you don't, as a man, I am going to side-eye you, because a lot of the issues I have had with men come from men who are on demon time. I'm not saying Christian men are better. I'm not saying Muslim men are better. I'm not saying Buddhist men are better. I'm just saying the experiences I've had with men who have faith in a higher power has been extremely different than my experiences with men who are on demon time.